Kalispera. Thank you very much for this invitation. So, how can we give architecture the capacity to adapt to unpredictable situations? So I will present two projects of our office, two residential projects. In the first one, the Cabanon, we activated the potential that somebody else had planned on this space many decades ago. And in the second, in Star Ibri, we were the ones as architects putting this potential in the space. Hopefully, somebody else will activate it later. So I will start with the Cabanon. The Cabanon is a 6.89 square meter apartment in Rotterdam. Is the reconversion of an attic storage space in the roof, as you can see. We live in the second floor. We bought the Cabanon, so we are the architects and the clients of this project. As you can see, it's a nice storage with a window from top to bottom, 3 meters high, and in the top of the building. The contractor of the building in the 50s, I think he also saw the potential of the space as a storage, and he added already toilet connection, heating connection, hot and cold water, and electricity. When we bought the Cabanon, we didn't know what to do with that, but we knew it had a lot of potential. We were thinking, after some years, because we were very busy with the projects from the office, what to do with that. And we realized that we really wanted to have a spa. But what we really needed is a guest room for the family and friends where they were coming to visit, because we didn't have at home any proper space to host them. So when we started thinking about how to put these two programs together, all our first test tried to make a very open space, because it felt very illogical to subdivide a space that was already so small. However, quickly we realized that it didn't work. If we wanted to make the two programs work properly, we had to subdivide the space. So what we did is we create 4 spaces out of the 7 square meters, and we had a living room, a bathroom, a spa, and a bedroom. And what we did in order to fit it all is we optimized the height of this space to strictly the minimum that we need to perform their function. And I say we because we really literally adapted to our sizes. So somebody who will be 2 meters will have more trouble in the Cabanon that we have. So the heights, we adapt to our heights, and for the widths and the lengths, we adapted to standard products. So for example, the mattress determines the size and the width of the bedroom, and the bathtub determines the length of the spa. And this allows us to put programs on top of each other. So in this sense, we have the bedroom on top of the spa, and in the other side, we have the storage of the bedroom on top of the bathroom. So now I will give you a little tour on the Cabanon. So this is the living room. We have this window bench in the window, and here we decide to keep the generous height of 3 meters. In this wall, we have storage, and we have all the kitchen appliances, and also the door that will lead us to the bathroom in blue. So that's the bathroom. We have the toilet and 2 showers, and through this sliding door, we will enter the spa. So that's the spa with the 2 infrared saunas and the jacuzzi bathtub. And now we go back to the living room, and with this ladder, which normally it is hanging from the inside of the door of the bathroom, we go to the bedroom. The bedroom has all the storage in the left, and that's it. This is an outside view. So what we learned from the Cabanon, before, if you are more interested about the Cabanon, because that was very fast, I invite you to see this video we did with the dancers. The 2 models you see, they are dancers, and this is a beautiful video where they are dancing or moving in the Cabanon. It's in our playlist. And also this Architectural Digest did a mini documentary last December, which is also very explanatory about the space. And if you want to read, I recommend you 2 of our favorite articles. Melina Arvaniti wrote for Art Research a very nice piece, and also Julie Lasky for the New York Times. Now, yes, What we learned in the Cavanon is that optimization, we can understand it as maximization of the possibilities of one space, not just as a reduction, and that the fact of including some anticipatory measurements in a space can open a lot of potential for later. If that contractor would not have put all this sewage pipe, the electricity, the heating, we could never have made today a living space out of storage. So this project, Start Ivry, is all about those points. It's about anticipation, adaptability, and optimization of space. So we, together with the municipality of Ivry, is in the south of Paris, we wanted to create a benchmark for housing, for social housing too. And we created this project. Like in many other European regions, we were facing a huge housing crisis in the region of Paris. And while all these talks about housing crisis focus solely in quantity, for us was also very alarming, the quality, the very poor quality of what it was being built. There were some improvements done when it comes to the energy performance of the apartments or the environmental performance, but we felt there was absolutely no interest or no concern in the distribution of the apartment and the capacity of the apartment to adapt to the needs and the lifestyles of the people that live on them. So, don't take me wrong, but what is the point of an apartment adapted to the climate if it does not adapt to its inhabitants? I mean, can we call this sustainable? For us, is no. I don't know how it's in Athens or in Greece, but I can tell you that the most of the apartments that were being built now in Paris in the last years, they look like this, exactly like this. So we can really talk about standardized apartments. And this plan, it totally lacks equality. It lacks the capacity to adapt to any evolution of the people that live in it. And it simply answers to a financial calculation from the developer, very questionable regulations, and a very mediocre pragmatism. But the amazing thing is, like, nobody questions it. No, the architects, the developers, they all take it as a granted, and they do their the housing projects based on this model. So the job of the architect, finally, is just to create a catchy facade to hide all this mediocrity inside. When we did this project, we thought we have to take a different approach. A housing project is hosting people, real people, not only square meters or regulations. So we took the real households as the starting point. And I'm not talking only about the nuclear family, I'm talking about all this diversity of households that today we have in society. So like single parents, recomposed families, all type of cohabitations, people sharing apartments, people living alone, people having a caretaker at home, and so on and so on. And all these households, they are not permanent situations. So today, this nuclear family might divorce, she might get another husband, so it's a totally changed. And apartments should be able to adapt to all these changes and unpredictable situations in life. So we really like this section, this lithography from the 19th century. I found it very honest. We don't see this facade. It's really, we focus on the truth, on the inside. And we did our own section where we took all the households of today and we drew what are these struggles and these conflicts and these paradoxes that they face when they have to live in these standardized apartments. So I will show you like a couple of examples so you see how we build up the project. For example, this is a typical situation, like my grandmother was having this situation. It's a typical old person living in a 4 or 5 bedroom apartment, but she only used a third or a half of the apartment, but she doesn't want to move away. And this normally would not be a problem to have a big house, but in another parallel, we are having a shortage of housing. So this somehow does not feel right. It's a kind of unsustainable to have so much unoccupied space. This is another situation that we see a lot. It's a single mother living with his son in a 1-bedroom apartment because this is the only thing they can afford, although they will need 2-bedroom apartment. So she has to, every night, open the sofa and sleep on it, with all the problems that it might come of intimacy, grounding, and so on. This is another typical situation. I have friends who have gone through that, when an adult child has to come back home because of a divorce or because of unemployment, and he has to live with the parents for temporarily, but this temporarily can be 6 months, sometimes 1 year, and apartments are not ready for this. It's not the same to live with your parents when you are 5 than when you are 41. And this can really create tension and destroy family relationships. Or now we see all the remote workers that have to work at home, but houses are also not created to have a little office, so normally we have to work in the kitchen, in the living room, and so on. So, well, I have shown you 4 examples, but what we did is we analyzed all the different types of households we could come up with. We made a table, we analyzed all their needs, and we, as architects, tried to give spatial solutions to each need. And what it was nice to see is, like, finally, just a few spatial solutions could answer all this overwhelming complexity of households. And what we did is we created 10 adaptability principles that we will apply to our apartments in order to answer this complexity of situations. So, for example, all our big apartments, like 3, 4, 5 bedrooms apartments, we create from the beginning in the way that they can be divisible. So everything, the plan, all the technical measurements, the legal measurements are anticipated, so when my 2 kids move out one day, I can really cut out my apartment in 1 day and sell it or rent it out. This is a way to optimize the square meters, and it's a very sustainable strategy in all ways, social, economical, and environmental. This solution, the mini room, we create especially for these single parents that cannot afford 2 bedrooms. So we create this mini alcove next to the living room that has his own window, electricity, heating, and all. During the day, it can be open, but during the night, you can close it, and then you can create this bedroom so this person can have an intimate corner to sleep. At the end, this is very practical for many other situations apart from single parents. For all our 2 bedrooms apartment, we call them super adaptable because they can really be resilient and they adapt to all these different possible configurations of cohabitations. So the couple with the adult child, or me with my boyfriend hosting my mother because she is sick, or when we are old and we have to live with a caretaker at home, and so on and so on. And it's important that the 2 bedrooms are separated, that the second bedroom has this little bathroom, so it's more autonomous. Normally, the second bedroom has to be next to the entrance, so we really create a bit of an apartment within the apartment, so cohabitation is more graceful. And sometimes we even give the possibility to install a kitchenette in the second bedroom to make it really more autonomous for the future. And also we have these sort of balconies that we call the plugs, which can be closed. Everything is already planned, like heating, electricity, and so on. And also, all the legal measurements are taken, so people cannot oppose to this decision. And at the given moment, when you need 8 square meters or 9 square meters, you can close it and grow your house. Apart from all these adaptability principles, we also thought it was very urgent to address the quality, general quality of apartments, because basic things like multiple orientations, kitchen with windows, natural light, and so on, it was not obvious anymore. So we make this set of principles. I will present you only one, which for us is very important, is the maximization of storage and furniture possibilities. And this is very relevant, especially today that houses are becoming smaller and smaller. Every centimeter counts. And the way we design these square meters, it really counts. And I will show you with one example. I mean, this is very basic, but I can tell you it's not achieved today. You see these 3 rooms have the same surface, 1150, but they are slightly different. So when we try to furnish them, you see that the case A can have all this storage that we put in blue that cannot happen in the case B and C. So in the case A, the architect has place these elements, so the window, the door, and the radiator, with a bit of intelligence and a bit of grace, so then we can optimize the full potential of the room. Or if we look at it in a different way, to just place the few furniture of the case B and C, we only need the surface of D. So let's say that 9 square meters well-designed, you can put the same as in 1150, but design. So we always focus on square meters, but we never talk about how good or badly designed these square meters are. So we create now this good section, the ideal section, with all these principles of adaptability and quality. And we made all these apartments that fit perfectly to the needs of all these households. And we did our project in Ivry. We have 300 apartments based on these principles. So now I will just end up with a bit of a tour of the project. We have these 5 buildings. This is the River Seine in Paris. The towers we have are quite thin for Paris standards. It's around 40% thinner than the rest. And you can see all the size of the windows, the different colors of the window jambs reflect what is inside. So we wanted that all this diversity and richness will create the image of the building, the identity. So these are some terraces. These are the boxes that you can close to make an extra room. These are some pedestrian alleys that we create in the ground floor. We also have common spaces in the 7th floor with the common terraces. You see them because they are all in turquoise color. We also have these garden terraces at many levels of each tower. In the last floor of the towers, we always have duplex with the very generous terraces. These are some pictures from the interior of the apartments. We have very compact surfaces in the Paris region. We are very tight always in surface because the square meter price is very expensive. But these apartments are compact in surface, but very rich in adaptability and performance. And then also we wanted that the carpet for the common areas, the pattern, we took it from our ideal section with these imaginary households. And just I finished with some pictures of the real households that live today in the project that we have the chance to meet and to keep in contact. And just to finalize and come back to the initial question, how can we adapt architecture that it becomes resilient for unpredictable situations? So for us, it's very important to confront standardization, housing standardization. We cannot just take it as a granted. There is still a lot to do in housing, and the architects should be much more critical to the floor plan. The floor plan is, in our opinion, is totally, people don't look at it anymore, and for us this is the real tool that we can make a change and we can make adaptable apartments. And second is that adaptable apartments for us doesn't mean that everything moves and we have super complicated technology. No, an adaptable apartment could be just an apartment that never changes because it's so well designed that can adapt to many different life situations. And of course, if you put more of these anticipatory measures, you can even create potential for the future and be even more resilient. So, that's very stokely.